Once upon a time, in the heart of a wide, green farm known as Sunny Farm, there lived a little snail named Sammy. Sammy was no ordinary snail. He was a thoughtful and observant little creature who loved exploring every inch of the farm. He might have been small and slow, but he had a big heart and a curious mind. Sunny Farm was home to many animals. There were cows grazing in the fields, chickens pecking around the barn, and sheep resting under the shade of the big oak tree. The farm was always full of life, with crops growing tall and green, and a sparkling well that provided water for everyone. One hot summer day, something terrible happened. The well, which had always bubbled with fresh, cool water, suddenly went dry. Not a single drop came out when the animals tried to draw water. The plants began to wilt under the scorching sun, and the animals grew thirsty and anxious. Without water, the entire farm would soon wither away. The animals gathered in the barn, their faces full of worry. "What will we do?" cried Clara the cow. "If we don't find water soon, we'll all suffer." "We must find a solution quickly," squawked Penny the chicken. "But where will we find water in this drought?" Everyone was in despair, but little Sammy the snail, who had been quietly listening from a shady corner, knew that they couldn't give up. That night, while all the other animals were resting, Sammy decided to take matters into his own hands. He slowly made his way towards the well, determined to find out what had happened. The journey to the well was long for Sammy, especially since it was dark and the ground was dry and cracked. But he kept going, inch by inch, determined not to let his friends down. When he finally reached the well, he peered down into its dark depths. He could see nothing at first, just the empty, dry walls. But then, with his keen eyes, Sammy noticed something strange. The bottom of the well was clogged with mud and debris. It seemed that over time, the well had filled up with dirt and rocks, blocking the water from rising up. Sammy knew this was the cause of the drought, but how could he, a tiny snail, fix such a big problem? As he pondered, Sammy remembered the ants he had seen earlier that day. The ants were strong, and they worked together to carry heavy loads. Sammy knew that he needed help to clear the well, so he set off to find the ant colony. By the time Sammy reached the ant hill, it was already dawn. The ants were just waking up and starting their day. Sammy explained the problem to the ant leader, a wise old ant named General Anthony. "We need to clear the well, or the farm will dry up," Sammy pleaded. General Anthony listened carefully and agreed to help. The ants were small, but there were many of them, and they could dig faster than any other creature on the farm. Together, Sammy and the ants returned to the well and began their work. It was hard, exhausting work. The ants dug and carried away the mud and stones, while Sammy guided them, making sure they didn't miss a single spot. The sun rose high in the sky, and the other animals began to gather around the well, watching in amazement as the tiny creatures worked tirelessly. Hours passed, and just when it seemed like they might never finish, there was a sudden gush of water. The well began to bubble and overflow with fresh, cool water. The animals cheered and danced with joy. Sammy had done it. He had found the problem and, with the help of his friends, had saved the farm. The animals quickly filled their buckets and watered the thirsty plants. The crops perked up, and the animals quenched their thirst, feeling alive and refreshed. The farm was saved, and it was all thanks to Sammy the Snail. From that day on, Sammy was hailed as a hero on Sunny Farm.